Who's ready to upcycle? So this week I have a lot going on as usual. I'm doing some teaching. In fact, I'm really excited. We're teaching a group of youth at a summer camp how to do upcycling technique like reverse applique with patches, and it'll be super fun. I'm sure these kiddos are going to be so creative and they're going to inspire me immensely. I also taught a couple of upcycling classes yesterday. Same thing, the creativity of just getting folks together and sharing ideas and mending clothes and fixing things is contagious. And it really gets me inspired to do some additional upcycling projects. Also, we're doing another clothing swap this weekend, and those are my favorite. So at the clothing swaps, what I love is being able to go in, pick out items, bring them back here, and bring you along the journey for that upcycle adventure. So that is coming soon. So this week we are going to try to upcycle 2 specific pieces. More if we have time, but I do want to have an attainable goal. So first and foremost, I made this jumpsuit right here years ago. It is this vintage, I think it's Holly Hobby fabric. It has a couple of holes and stains. You know, it was an older sheet, and it's great. Like quality, I'm very pleased with my craftsmanship that I've done, but a couple of things. Number one, it's too short in the torso. So when I put it on, it's a little uncomfortable. It's a little uncomfortable. Also, there are no pockets. And I honestly have just decided that it has to have pockets. It just really does, or else I'm not gonna wear them. So what my solution for this piece right here is going to be is we're gonna turn them into just wide leg pants. They're already a really great wide leg pant to begin with. It's just attached to this top bodice area. I'm going to remove this top portion, turn these into a nice loungy pair of pants, and then use this top piece to create some patch pockets on the back. So this is one of those where I love it, I made it, but it's not getting worn. Then the other item I want to upcycle is this men's Izod button-down shirt. I got it, I think, at Goodwill recently for just a couple dollars. What I love about it, number one, it's striped. I love a stripe. Number two, it's yellow. It's like shades of yellow, super fun. But I feel like if I'm going to actually wear it, I need to do a few things. So I need it to have more of a squared bottom, so it's kind of a boxy fit. So we're gonna crop this. Also, I need to decide on something to do with the sleeves. So I'm really inspired this week by crows. You know, when we go on walks, we see all the birds out there, and the birds right now, the crows in particular, are out. They're in full effect. So my vision is to do applique, like a big crow on the back with its wings open, and then on this side to do a little crow on the pocket, because I want to keep this pocket. This is a great size. And then do like a little crow here with its beak open, and then maybe an eyeball in its beak. I also have these paper pieced quilt blocks that I got recently that are freaking amazing. And I feel like I could use one of these on the back of this with a solid black crow with its wings spread, and I think it would look really fun. And I've always wanted a better way to get those shapes traced on my fabric without having to use the printer or get something else. And that, my friends, brings us to this week's video sponsor. So the folks at Orzen sent me this zip trifold Ulta portable projector. It's the size of my palm. It is the coolest thing I have ever seen, right? And I'm not one to promote going out and just buying random things because they're cool. If you don't have a need for them, there's no reason to spend money. But I didn't even realize how helpful something like this would be, not just for tracing applique, but for so many other reasons. But the way that it works, it's a trifold. So it opens just like this. So you can project up to your ceiling, you can project to the side, you can project down. There's so many possibilities for this little tiny portable projector. So I found a space on my wall here in my studio, and we're gonna project a couple of images that I created to trace them on my fabric so I could get a nice crisp outline of my crows and not have to do as much work. I just have it right here, and it's mirroring from my Mac. And I'm just gonna use this space here. I'm just gonna take some blue painter's tape and easily trace this intricate pattern even in a really small space. So a couple other ways that I see myself really utilizing this amazing projector is if I have a pattern piece that is an AO size, I can project it on the wall and then just make sure it fits within the size guide so I'm not distorting the pattern. Also, if I have a video that I want to watch for inspiration, or if I need a quick tutorial on a technique, I can pop that on my wall as well. So I totally recommend this Orzen Zip Trifold portable projector for so many reasons. I'd love to hear what you would use it for, and I would love to hear from all of you how you utilize this in a sewing space to make life easier. Use the code ZIP10 for 10% off your purchase, and you can find the link in the description. And here's where we are this morning. So we have our back Crrl applique is all cut out, and I'm not quite sure, I haven't decided if I want skewed or have it straight. I did a little hand stitching on here. I'm gonna alter that. I also wanted to add a little bit more stitching down to the bottom. I might try using like a metallic thread, something that'll catch the light. I think that could be fun. It's just those little pops of details. So we're gonna finish this block first, and I'm gonna tack it in place. You can use washable glue, which is what I typically do when I'm using applique. I am gonna go around the Crrl though and do a black, really tight zigzag stitch all the way around just to make sure it is secured. And it's black, so you're not even gonna see it. Then what we'll do, before we actually put this piece on, I do want to crop my top. This is a very simple crop because the shape is even all the way around. So I'm just going to crop it where I want it to land, and then adding about an inch seam allowance. And then I'll come in and do a rolled hem at the bottom just to finish that seam. Then we'll come back in and we will stitch the full quilt block with the applique to the back, probably doing another like satin, really tight zigzag stitch all the way around. That is the idea. But then we still have the front. So I did cut out this other, you can hear this other Crrl shape. It is a Crrl head with a beak that opens up. And I had mentioned possibly doing like an eyeball or something in it. There's a button right here. And actually, if it closes, it's kind of like it's latching onto the button. Now this button is not shiny. And the whole thing with Crrls, right? They love things that are shiny. They love trinkets, don't we all? So I may have to do something in this little space here just to add a trinket or something decorative. So let's get started. Okay, finished the Crrl patch. So I ended up adding a couple of little, I don't know what you'd call these. They're sparkly. There's a name for them. I don't know what they are. But I used the metallic thread here and then just did a little accent there and then some hand stitches. And so now it's very secure. I also used this. I'm actually new to using this. I know that quilters use it. This is a tacky spray, but this one is permanent. And I know quilters use like the non-permanent version where you can reposition things. I find this stuff super sticky. I tried it for the first time in class this weekend when I was demoing, like applying an applique, and I don't think I like it. If you have tips and tricks for using this, let me know. But then I also went around the edge and did, again, a very tight zigzag stitch, almost a satin stitch, very tight together to lock it all in place. So this part is done. Now, before we attach it to the top, we need to do a few things. We need to actually alter the garment. And it's a lot easier to do that before you put on your applique or patch or whatever it is. Now I'm gonna actually use it as a guide though. So one thing with this shirt I do wanna point out, because you may run into this if you're working with button-down shirts in general. And some of them have this pleat in the back to give it a little bit more room. But when you're adding something like this, you know, it's gonna adjust how it fits. I think because with this shape, I do want it to be a box shape and I want it to be squared off on the bottom. It is gonna make more sense for me just to open up the seam right up here. So we can see our inverted pleat is here. So if I just take out this seam here, I should be able to fold it all the way in. Okay, so let me show you what I did just in case you ever want to do the same technique. So again, I seam picked this little area here that had the pleat, And then what I ended up doing is finding the center so that it would lay flat underneath this way it's stitched back together. So this is where it's pressed all the way down on the right side, so it's even. So the stripes are even. We don't have a full stripe in here, but it's okay. So it's even here. And then on this side, what we're gonna see, so on the inside, we have that leftover fabric from the pleat. So I'm just gonna stitch the top, come back, and then we will do the inside. I've stitched all the way down, and you can see on the right side, this is how it looks here, and this is the wrong side. So now what we do need to do though, we need to go over to our iron and press the seam allowance under one time, fold it, press it again, and then we're just gonna do an edge stitch all the way down to keep it in place. Now I have all of the back is all stitched in place, and it's also hemmed at the bottom, so it's the perfect crop. So now again, before we put any patches on, we need to finish any of the garment adjustments that we're gonna do. So in this case, I'm gonna adjust the sleeves. This is gonna be the last piece that we need to take care of before we just stitch on those patches. What I may end up doing is just trimming around the sleeve, leaving about 4 inches or so, and then folding the edges under and stitching them on the edge and then also on the garment. Okay, and I couldn't wait. I was gonna go outside and do a photo shoot, but it is so cute. It's like, so number one, it's the perfect crop. This is 100% where I like it to fit. So I could tuck it in if I want to. It's also a little bit bigger in the back, so when I raise my hands, it's not gonna come up, and that's pretty amazing. The sleeves, I'm happy with how they go down here, and that's just because I wear sports bras. And so for me, if you can see in here, it's fine. It's not the end of the world. You can also wear a shirt underneath it if you wanted to. Okay, but so the garment itself has been reconstructed to fit me better and make it a little bit more feminine while holding on to, you know, the masculine features that I really enjoy. Also, let's look at the front crow. So we have this crow applique, again made out of denim, and just one little stitch for the eyeball, and then I just stitched on, you know, a little shiny bauble because crows love shiny things. Okay, the back. Oh. And then here is the back. Again, it's wild. And my husband said, wow, that's a lot. It is a lot, but here's the thing. You know, it's a statement piece. It's art. It is taking something that had stains on it that was only a couple dollars at the thrift store. There's so many of this style shirt out there. So turning it into something super unique like this, it's definitely going to have a much longer life. And I'm going to be really proud to wear this, honestly. I know that I'm going to get some really great compliments, which, you know, feel good, number one. But number two, then I can tell people they can do it as well. So it's all about inspiring that creativity and helping others see things that they may consider trash in a whole new light. Now, it is 3 o'clock. And we have our other upcycle item that I'm thinking about starting today. I may actually be able to finish it. I think it's going to be a pretty straightforward upcycle. So I think we're going to start that today, because then maybe I'll be able to get both of these upcycles finished, because I just got a new meeting on the calendar for tomorrow, which means that's going to cut into my content time. And then I'm getting ready to go on vacation, which I'm very excited about that. So yeah, let's dive into the next upcycle. So what we're going to be doing with this one, just to refresh your memory. So this is the jumpsuit that I had upcycled a few years ago with this vintage sheet. I was looking at it a little bit closer, and it does have little like holes throughout it and definitely some staining, which, you know, I think it just gives it character, honestly. So I think I mentioned this at the beginning. I'm just going to detach the top bodice. We're going to start with that. And once I detach the top bodice, I may have enough fabric at the top of the pants that are already here to just do a very simple waistband. And what I mean by that is just fold it under and then add the elastic. I may be able just to do that. Of course, we still have to put our pockets in, but I'm going to do patch pockets instead of inseam pockets, so it shouldn't take too much time. All right, let's dive in. Again, here's the challenge. It's 3 o'clock. Can we finish? I normally eat dinner around 4:30-ish. in the summer. So let's see if we can finish in 90 minutes. So originally I was thinking that I would have enough waistband that I could just fold it over and create the casing for the elastic. Not the case. It'll be a little low rise. I don't want low rise. So what I did is I actually found this coordinating fabric in my stash. It's just this green cotton. I'm breaking one of my cardinal rules. It's fabric that I was given, and it still had like the price tag and everything on it, and I've never washed it. And typically I would wash it before trying it on these pants because there could be some shrinkage. But because it's going to be where the elastic is, I'm not concerned that there's going to be shrinkage because it's already going to be ruched. So not too worried with that. But it just coordinates. So it's just a green and it pulls out the green from the pants. And the reason I'm using this instead of this fabric, which I was originally going to use for the pockets, because this top right here just needs a bottom, and now I have a nice little tank that I could wear. So instead of having this one piece that was never getting used because it was way too short in the, way too short in the rise area, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish putting this waistband on. So I cut 2 strips, stitched them together, and I did 2 3/4 inches. So that's the full length of the waistband. And that gives me some wiggle room for seam allowance so I can press it under on the inside. So we're going to do that, and then we'll probably make the pockets out of this green fabric because I do have just a little bit left. So we'll probably just make patch pockets out of this just to tie it all together. Time-wise, I told you I wanted to try to get this done in 90 minutes. It took me 22 minutes to seam pick the 2 pieces apart. Grats on my quality, right? Like, I'm super stoked with the quality that I did, but there was a lot of seam picking happening. So my meeting this morning ran a little bit longer than I had thought. And then I had to eat lunch, and then I took Lily for a walk. And here we are at about 1 p.m. But let me show you how far we got on the pants portion. I'm pretty much done with these. I think I'm going to add one little extra detail. So I just added that casing to the top for my elastic, and then did, I think, about 3/4 inch elastic right there at the top. I also added this little patch pocket, and adding a pocket is so simple, especially if it's just a patch pocket. Inseam pockets aren't simple, but they're absolutely something that you could do. But a patch pocket is something that everybody can do, especially if you just pick a simple shape. So I went for a rectangle because it's such an easy shape to do, and it fit right in the back of these. So I just pressed in all of the edges, gave it an edge stitch, and then I just edge stitched it directly onto the pants. So now I have my little cell phone pocket for these lounge pants. The last thing that I did this morning was I took the bottoms up 2.5 inches. So I re-hemmed the bottom, and they still hit the ground. These were the longest, pants ever. So I haven't done anything with the top except take out the elastic and press the bottom band. I also started playing around if I wanted to add, I have a little bit of this ruffle, and I was going to add it. But now that I've had a chance to think things through on my walk with the dog and after my meetings, I feel like I won't wear it. So I do want to add just a little bit to the bottom. I don't have enough to do a rolled hem because it's just on that cusp of being too short. So I was hoping I had enough of that same fabric that I used for the pocket. And I think I can. I would just need to do what I did to the waistband and then just cut 2 strips and stitch them together. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to add to the band to this, and then we'll have 2 new pieces instead of 1 that I wasn't gonna wear. Okay, so my little lounge set is officially complete, and I didn't have much waste at all, which was amazing, especially since this was something that had been sitting in my closet for years, never getting worn. So I ended up just altering this top a little bit, like I mentioned, just adding a band around the bottom to give it just a little bit more length, and then I did take in the sides. Then the pants, I think I may have already showed this to you, but we have our cute little patch pocket, and you can see the length of them. So they're actually a really perfect length as long as I keep them up. So when we are looking at those like 90+ degree days, having something light and cotton that breathes, that you can have air, I just think is going to be such a great addition to my summer home wardrobe. Thanks for joining me on my upcycle adventure this week. You can check out my additional What I Upcycled Last Week videos in my playlist. And if you have any other ideas for tips and tricks that you want me to try out and share with you all, please let me know in the comments. So with that said, until next time, everyone, see ya!